all probably heard of Boise State, but how about their women's volleyball team? They ended their season in the championship tournament due to forfeit. This is because they were unwilling to play a team with an opponent transgender athlete. As a female athlete myself, this is a concerning as well as confusing issue, so I did extensive research on the science behind transgender athletes and hormonal therapies, as well as looking into Title IX policies, which prohibit sex discrimination in providing equal opportunities for women in sports. So, I believe that transgender athletes should not participate in women's sports because they breach Title IX policy, as well as they pose heightened safety concerns to women athletes. Today I'll discuss how these transgender athletes retain a physical advantage, a possible solution of separate leagues, the benefits from this, and consequences if there is no solution found. So first, let me explain the why on why transgender athletes pose a problem to women's sports. Biological males retain a heightened performance advantage over biological females, which is stated by Dennis Wiseman in his article from the Cato Institute. Transgender women with these hormonal therapies still retain heightened factors that come from being a biological male, such as increased bone structure, heart size, and lung capacity, which cannot be reversed by hormonal therapies, bringing me to my first slide. Here you can see a chart comparing transgender women to a biological woman. When we look at a trans woman, we see that more activity in their brain is linked to spatial awareness, which leads to a heightened reaction time. They also have twice as much muscle mass in their legs, as well as longer bones, meaning more space for muscle. Their arms are also on average 19% stronger. They also have smaller Q angles, which reside between your knee and your quad and your forearm and your bicep, which gives them greater time and space to exert greater force, leading them to run faster, hit the ball harder, swim faster, etc. When you look at a biological woman, they have larger Q angles, so they cannot exert greater force. They also have a 10 to 12% smaller lung capacity, leading to 30% lower oxygen levels, which means that they cannot last as long, they have to take more breaks, they'll run out of breath faster. They also have 10% less bone mass density, leading to their bones being able to be fractured easier. And all of these factors here cannot be reversed or changed by hormonal therapies. The British Journal of Sports Medicine conducted a similar study on the long-term effects of testosterone blockers on levels of hemoglobin, lean body mass, muscle area, and strength. And they found that these levels are not decreased significantly enough to a safe or fair level even after 3 years, bringing up safety concerns, leading me to the story of Peyton McNabb. Peyton was injured by a trans athlete's spike in a high school volleyball game, and here's a video. Here we see in this green circle is a transgender athlete, and here's Peyton. So I want to watch this video again, and I want you to notice how the transgender athlete attacks. It's generally a lot higher as well as harder than the average high school girl. This injury resulted in partial paralysis of Peyton's right side, needing her assistance to walk. She also has vision impairment and also loss of memory retention, so she needs special requirements at school to help her get through tests. This is even after 2 years and she's in college and still struggles from all of these injuries. Now, this brings me to the reasoning behind why I believe there need to be separate leagues. In accordance with Title IX policies, as well as the growing number of transgender athletes we see today, separate leagues is probably one of the best possible solutions we could bring for fair competition. Dr. G.A. Brown states in several studies that even if a man is not a top-flight athlete, he still retains an advantage over female top-flight athletes. Which brings me to my third slide. Here we can see biological men in the solid blue and transgender women in the red open circles have a even and low body fat distribution compared to a biological woman in the red, which allows for an advantage in athletics such as speed and agility, increased factors of speed and agility. So Dennis Wiseman states that a separate league is a possible solution if science cannot reverse factors such as this. But some believe individual federations should be able to choose whether or not to ban transgender athletes in full, but I believe this will lead to a loss of competition as well as participation between opponent leagues. So, if separate leagues were to take place, what would happen next? I believe that the environment of women's sports will become more focused on the sports and athletes themselves rather than social or political issues that have arisen. And fair competition for both biological and transgender women will be provided. But if a solution cannot be found, more consequences will arise, like the lack of participation as well as support and more serious injury concerns for women. Hilton and Lundberg state that transgender inclusion policies should be reevaluated because of safety concerns, which are backed by athletes themselves, like Brooke Slessor. She is the setter for San Jose volleyball team and states her concerns about her transgender teammate. She fears what their height and strength could do to her teammates, or an opposing team. Grant Atkinson states that most athletes like Brooke who speak up about this issue are either met with attacks online or assaulted in person, like a recent event with women's sports advocate Riley Gaines. Now that I've discussed the importance of this pivotal topic, let me draw to a close. I believe that transgender athletes should not be included in women's sports because of the violation of Title IX policy, as well as the heightened physical dangers they pose to biological females. I've discussed the science behind transgender athletes and hormonal therapies, as well as a possible solution, the benefits from the separation, as well as consequences if a solution is not found. When more people are educated about issues like this, we are better equipped to find a better solution. Bringing attention will decrease the number and severity of problems that this could bring to the future of women's sports.